Hello again, my name is T and welcome to my party. So we just found Hanzo's corpse and we're doing some investigative work. So let's get into it. Then I rolled back my sleeves and reached for the destroyed head. Ew. Hey, what are you doing? I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I still have a look. Decapitation meant body doubles, or deception meant body doubles. Mystery Writing 101. If someone brought in and killed a person with a similar build to Kanzo's, then left him here, his death could easily be faked. Did Kanzo have a silver-capped tooth in his lower jaw? No, he didn't. His voice was strangely forced. I looked at him and realized he was kinda pale. I might have overdone it, still, I couldn't be soft in this situation. He was proud that he didn't need any crowns or anything despite being over 60. Why? Did you find one? No, I only asked to prevent any misdirection. It's a healthy set of teeth. What the hell? The lower jaw was mostly intact, while the upper one was destroyed along with the rest of the head. Despite that, I saw a hint of the old man in the eyebrows and the dark hair with streaks of gray in them. It was pretty clear it was the one and only Hanzo Makishima, so it was probably pointless to keep thinking about the way he was injured. My hands were all messy. I'd have to wash them later. The corpse aside, Kanzo was lying on some thin bedding, and there was no sign of a struggle. He was either instantly killed by the first attack, or knocked out, laid there, and then killed. Still, it wasn't a corpse that was easy to make. The situation here was peculiar. One point I found curious at the fact that Kanzo surely obeyed the shelter law and locked himself in. However, the lock on the door was still perfectly intact. So logically speaking, Kanzo had opened the door and let the culprit in. There was no sign of resistance, so it was probably done by somebody he felt safe with. However, if this was a normal killing by the standards of the feast and the Yomi Purge, then this definitely made possible by something unnatural. Back to the situation at hand. The futon and everything around it were bloody, obviously, but there was another strange thing about the crime scene. The dampness. Some spots were really wet, and clearly not because of the mist. It was like the murderer purposely spread some water here. Were they trying to wash away the blood splatter on them? But there was no point in doing that in front of the body. The footprints were faded. Were they trying to cover their tracks? They were still pretty visible, though. It was more like they put bloody footprints on the futon and tatami that was already wet. The shape of the prints told me they weren't made by Western shoes, Japanese clogs, or wild beasts. They were just long ovals, reminiscent of those made by Zori sandals. There weren't many of them, though. Most of the blood was absorbed by the futon. But from what I had, I could tell there was only one type of footprint. Find out anything? Nothing special. Thought so. You don't specialize in this, do you? Sadly, no. All I knew was that the culprit was a very dangerous human. Or a werewolf. As I washed my hands, Takumi removed the sliding door and put Kanzo's remains on it. He covered his destroyed face with a nearby hand towel and prepared to carry it. You take the other side. Got it. We lifted it up and yeah, this was definitely a job for two people. This old man was ripped apart. Literally. We went out into the mist. Are they throwing him into the Saranaka? That's what Ba-chan would want. Because he'll be corrupted if we don't. Yeah. a voice devoid of life. I couldn't call out to him. Pushing him any further away was dangerous. I could tell by the air about him. It's my fault. Why? Because I messed up in the feast. That was entirely possible. This proved that he was aware of it himself. I would have said that, but it felt wrong. I don't know much, but I think you were trying to do your best. But what's the point if I mess up like this? Then you need to make up for it. I think you'll have to be the one who leads Yasumizu now. I can't. Well, I couldn't either. I was just an outsider, so I had no idea how to console him. Feeling powerless, we approached the dining hall. We pass by here and go straight for the graveyard. Tei Yamawaki had come out too. She was in the midst of a prayer. Kaori Obe was standing next to her. She looked completely out of it. Rikaku Umatsu was covering Meiko's eyes and looking straight at me. Haru, Kanzu-san's actual granddaughter, was watching her grandfather's corpse with an intense expression. It probably wasn't good to make any assumptions here, but I couldn't help it. I felt like her expression was full not of the unbearable sorrow, but of anger, hatred, and disgust. I'd never seen them have a nice chat, so I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't see eye to eye. But still, I'd have liked if she made a different expression, if only for this moment. I could only think that it was because of an outsider who didn't know shit. I wasn't good at making assumptions. Shit. Why was I in this position? Just how much could I even learn in my position? But as it turned out, I was still underestimating the situation. We can't find Yoshi-kun anywhere. We met Chiemi on the way to the graveyard. She and the two high school guys were still searching, but the mist made it extremely difficult. We told her we would join once we buried Kanzo and picked up our pace. Oh, sorry, had a sneeze there. The graveyard wasn't that far. Yasumizu wasn't very big. It only felt like that because of the mists or the load. I'd completely forgotten about him. He was alright too, huh? I had no idea why, but he wasn't looking at us. Oh, I had no idea why, but he was looking at us, clapping and laughing. That meant that Yoshisugu Oriben was the only one we hadn't seen yet. Oribe. I was told there'd be only one. The wolves are supposed to kill only one person per night. Not saying a word, I hurried to finish the job. Unless they kill one person per person. You know what I mean? Like, there's one wolf, but you get to kill one person per wolfie. I don't know if that's how that worked. That led us to finding him early. Yoshisugu was on the shortest path to the cliff, in the grass of the graveyard. Oh, he's in parts. That's a head, that's a leg, that's another leg. Oh, that's a liver. Stomach? A little more stomachy. Though, Takumi had only noticed him by chance. That was how deep in the grass he was. And how many pieces of him there were. It reeked of death too, but it was mixed with the smell of trampled grass and a strange, beastly odor. He took a piss on the body. Maybe not all of the blood around here was his. Unlike Kanzo, He left clear proof of a tough battle and intense pain. Yoshi, you had guts, and now they're on the floor. Takumi's voice was shaking. He picked up a soccer ball-sized object. Half-eaten and basically a shadow of what it used to be. It clenched its teeth, even in death. Can I? Takumi gave it to me. Yashisugu's head. To me, I put my finger in its mouth. I was curious about what was stuck in there. What I found was a clump of beastly fur. He literally fought tooth and nail, resisting until the very end. Resisting what? Obviously, the being that brought the corruption. It didn't take long for the news of Yoshisugu Oribe's death to spread across the village. I had heard that the pain of losing one's child was beyond any description. Even so, Karui Oribe broke down so badly it felt abnormal. The mild-mannered woman became a mad beast. We had to band up to keep her from running to where we found Yashisugu's corpse. We already gathered it up and thrown it into the Saranaga after all. Takumi kept a tuft of the boy's bleached hair, which he gave to Kaori-sen. She instantly put it in her mouth? What? Through her wailing and choking, she did her best to chew and swallowed it, as it was a wretched and gloomy, miserable sight. Why did you eat the hair? Though it might have been an act born of ultimate motherly love. Whatever the case, no matter what the shape, it was too late to try and bring her child back into herself, not to mention absurd and pointless. That was how it looked in my eyes. Ew. Let's begin the feast. We got to do something about the one who killed Old Man and Yoshi. His words got the attention of basically everyone present. But they didn't reach the sobbing mother and her older son, who was gently consoling her. Yoshisugu. Why did he have to go against the laws? His efforts in death had only worked to corner not just his mother, but everyone else here. It was useless. He'd gotten some weird fur for us. No one, not even me, had any doubts about what we were dealing with here. A situation where everyone was desperate, acted on their own accord, and didn't know how to use their lives was basically the worst. And apparently, this line of thinking I had would foreshadow the next turn of events. Where did Haru go? Shit, why was everyone in such a hurry to do the worst things possible? Right? Like, just stay together. Chiemi Serizawa, Chikamoshi Kamoshida, Takumi Muto, and I went to search for Haru Makashima. Why are we saying all the names? Kaori showed no signs of calming down, so Yasunaga stayed with her. Kiyonosuke refused to come, arguing that it would be bad if there wasn't enough manpower around the dining hall, and he wasn't wrong about that, but, dude, you are worthless. It wasn't likely that some fur-covered murderer, or Haru's kidnapper, was still around. To prevent any surprise attacks or incidents, we split into pairs. We were given a hoe and a sickle for self-defense. That's just a Saturday night, dog. That ain't defense. Be careful, you two. Shout if something happens. Loud enough so we can hear you, but low enough that others can't. Help. Help me. Alright, let's go, Mochi. Time to do work, Hassan. The skirt would have made the search harder for him, so he changed into his school uniform. He wasn't cut for the job either, but he had no other clothes. At least, It was better than a one-piece dress. He seemed to enjoy wearing girls' clothing, so changing into the uniform was probably his way of showing he was serious about this. He kept his easygoing tone of voice, but it felt like there was a gravity in his eyes, too. He might have been pretty shaken. Haru-chan! Haru-chan! We walked around Yasumizu shouting until our throats became dry. We checked every bush, all the patches of tall grass, and behind every tree. We even searched the water around the paddy fields, but it didn't feel like we were getting any closer to finding her. What do you think happened to her? I don't know. Maybe she's shocked by her granddad's death. No, before that, she was acting weird since this morning. Was she? Is she really fastidious or something? What? A clean freak. Hates anything dirty. I think I saw hints of that whenever we first met. I'd say she's just the greatest scaredy cat here. Scaredy cat, huh? She was always really afraid of the corruption talk. Maybe she was just scared of getting corrupted. I see. Fear based on superstition. That made sense. Why had it gotten suddenly worse? I don't know, because there's been 4 dead bodies. Gee, that sure would corrupt a little girl, I think. What happened last night? That's why I didn't think Haru-chan would kill anyone if she was a wolf. Is that what you think? I don't know if she is one or not, but I really don't think she could if she was. How prudent. That's not like you. Well, we're not talking about me here. I don't want to try and get a read on you. I just want to hear your ideas on what's going on with Haru right now. I have no idea who or what you're confused about. But to me, Haru is as important as Yasud, if not more. I don't really care about anyone else. So we should just find her. Yeah, his voice is hard because I have to cover my nose and I can't breathe. Good point. But no matter how hard we searched, we saw no sign of her. She could have been hiding somewhere, or maybe she collapsed. But I was beginning to entertain another idea. What if she ran away from Yasumizu? I asked, knowing everyone would deny the idea. That would be hard to believe. When the mists come, Yasumizu was connected to Yomi, Ba's words, so anyone trying to escape would just end up there. Not to mention those mountains are dangerous. All that considered, if there was something that'd drive her to escape from the village, what could it be? Everyone fell silent. They couldn't even imagine it. It was like their brains had stopped working. Me every day. If she actually wandered out into danger, then we'd waste too much time searching for her in the village. I had to hurry, so I didn't hesitate to use some big assumptions that bordered on chicanery? 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 You know, I've probably heard this word in the English language, and if somebody said it correctly, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that word, but seeing it spelled, it's just like, chicanery. What if she can no longer trust the village or the people here? What do you mean? She might have seen something at night or early morning, or come to some sort of realization. Like, for example, what if she found out that someone she knows as well is a wolf who killed people like it was no big deal? Everyone gasped. She's young, so she's still pretty unstable. And since Yasumizu was so small, it wouldn't be strange if she felt like she lost her place here or someone betrayed her. The girl seemed pretty emotional, but it makes sense that she jumped straight into running away, right? You make a solid argument. But then what do we do? Give up? That was the thought of someone from Yasumizu.
I'll go look for her. I'm not afraid of the corruption.
And that was the thought of someone from Yasumizu who had a few screws loose. Anyway, I'm an outsider. I'm not exactly adverse to leaving anyways, so I'll look for her too. I said I'd stop you, didn't I? Don't worry, I'll head back the moment it gets dangerous. She definitely won't head to the Saranaga's direction, so I'll focus on the path to the school. Also, adults shouldn't turn their back on children, right? Hassan! Oh, look at his little blushy cheeks. I can't argue against that. Of course, it's possible that she's still in Yasumizu, so you two keep an eye on searching for her here. Leave it to me. Run away if it gets dangerous.
Hassan, about what you just said.
What do you mean?
You know, the thing about Haru-chan losing trust in everyone as a result of something she saw.
What about it?
That didn't actually happen, did it?
Who knows? I was just raising the possibility. It's likely though, isn't it?
So what you think she saw me or Yasu walking around with a mouth full of huge fangs?
That's a possibility too.
Not sure I buy that.
Is that just your intuition talking?
Yep, it is. Speaking of which, I also feel like this Feast of the Yummy Purge is designed to keep the wolves from being outed easily.
You can't see them at night because you can't walk outside. You can't stay gathered in one place and watch over each other. You can't call the police, so there can't be any investigations. And since everything's covered in mist, things can happen without anyone realizing. And that's why you can't get that sort of solid proof. How could the players send people to be hanged without the slightest bit of material evidence? If you ignored the weird guardian powers, it was all quibbles, agitation, sophistry, emotional arguments, connections, popularity. I'm pretty sure these quibbles and sophistry are fake words. These are fake words. Basically, the power of communication.
I don't really get why, but yeah, I think it was designed that way on purpose.
Nothing was certain. They were put in a dangerous argument, with their only weapon being their eloquence. It was a feast of doubting, hurting, and eventually killing one another. There was such malice behind this. Then Chikamoshi Kamoshido had a point. Are you a detective or something?
Huh? No, that'd be Yasun. He might know more than he lets on.
I'd have to talk to him then. We arrived at the mountain pass separating Yasumizu from the rest of the world. The large stones at the sides were like tori without a top. They might have had a religious significance. There's no rule against stepping beyond here, right?
Nope, only that you can't run away from the feast.
We were going out to find Haru, so we were good. Ignoring the fact that Haru was breaking the law, we passed between the stones. But we soon had to stop. The path was blocked by a landslide. According to Mochi, despite being pretty rocky, the ground in this area was strangely fragile, so landslides weren't that uncommon. There had been some pretty bad rain 3 days ago, hadn't there? If that was related to the mist's appearance, it wasn't likely that we'd get enough mist and this landslide at the same time. Despite that, this just felt a bit too convenient. I had to consider the possibility that there were people in the settlement above that blocked the road to keep the Yamabito from coming through.
Hassan!
There was something way more important. We found footprints in the still damp mud. It was proof that she'd passed through here. They disappeared into a small cliff that only reached up to my shoulders. She'd had to have climbed up and disappeared into the forest.
Let's hurry.
Yeah. The term virgin forest was used to describe forests that were still untouched by mankind, letting nature have complete control over it. Many of the cedars here looked imported, so that term probably didn't apply to this one. However, it wasn't intended to whatsoever, so the words natural or undeveloped definitely worked. There were many fern saplings on the surface, a canopy of leaves above, and thick mists all around. It certainly didn't feel like a place humans were welcome. For better or worse, the new ferns seemed slightly trampled, indicating somebody had passed through recently.
Over here.
Be careful. She got lost on this road after all.
Haru!
Should you really be shouting like that?
It's one of the bases of living in the mountains. The beasts run away if you scream.
Oh yeah, I'd almost forgotten about the very real threat of wild animals. I realized I'd lost myself in the mood and kind of became embarrassed. Haru!
See something!
Shouting over and over, we kept moving forward. She tried to follow the path, but all the cliffs and boulders in the way made her stray from it. 10 minutes later, we lost all sense of direction. Yeah, this place really was dangerous. Could we really find her? And even if we did, wouldn't it be too late? I was reminded of Yashisugu Oribe and his cruel fate. Were we about to lose yet another life? As my thoughts turned to that very real possibility. I heard someone weeping. I heard some weak weeping. Haru! Mochi, stay away. Are you alright? Please, don't come after me. I had a bad feeling about this. Something really bad might have happened to her. Wait up! Hey! Chikamochi went after the voice with no hesitation, his body quickly buried under all the plants and mist. Give me a hand, Hassan! His lack of hesitation felt dangerous in some way. Was I just imagining it? Anyway, I went after him and quickly caught up. It hurts. It hurts. Haru was buried under all the greenery. It's her leg. Stop. Ow. I walked up and, man, this was pretty bad. Her leg was all covered in blood. Her shoe and foot were pierced by a sapling that broken right at the bottom. She stepped on this? Can we break it off? Nope, we gotta pull it out. That'll open the wound. There's some lawn marsh, pennywort, and chameleon plants here. Let's close it with them. You can do that? Nasato is the family made medicine. Oh, Nasato is the family that made medicine. First I've heard of that, but I had no choice but to believe him. She resisted verbally, but she was too tired and weakened to do it physically. I picked her up, doing my best to ignore her wailing cause of the pain, and pulled her away from the branch. Chikamochi quickly took care of her wounds and used a handkerchief to stop the bleeding. Let's go back. Can you carry her? Of course. You sure you don't want to do it though? Who knows? I just don't have the build for it. I thought of saying that Haru would have preferred him, but she was barely conscious thanks to the pain. We didn't have time to waste on sentimentality. Lead the way. One lost person's enough for one day. Going back is easy, but man, it really looks like getting out is impossible. Agreed. Haru, I'm glad you're alright.
She isn't, Takumi. Teiba, we got a wound to patch.
Got it. Shut up, bitch. She's hurt. Get your pretty boy ass away from her. Our return caused quite a bit of commotion, and by the time things had begun to calm down, it was way past noon. Haru's escape attempt distracted everyone, but none of the problems were actually solved. Kanzo was killed by the wolves while Yoshitsugu Orebi was taken by the corruption. Yoshitsugu's death was especially problematic. Each meaningless death was yet another obstacle against the resolving feast. Even if they picked and hugged someone during the day, it wouldn't guarantee that there would be one less wolf. It was way more likely that they would get rid of an innocent. Even worse, the wolves in the group most likely tried to leverage the hangings in their favor. They'd claim to be innocent while casting doubt and blame on the other survivors. To win, the humans needed to do their best to see through such trickery and identifying the wolves, possibly even making them confess. That was how I saw it anyway, and I was the one with the least info here. With that in mind, all humans who died breaking the rules were actually doing the wolves a favor. If she actually disappeared, I'd have said the same about Haru, assuming she was human anyway. Perhaps someone encouraged them to break the rules. If that was the case, the wolves were ruthless. Who knew the rules well and were steadily advancing towards a complete victory where all the humans lay dead? That'd be someone influential or a player who's invaluable to the humans. That would be Kanzo or Yasu. And just as he feared yesterday, the wolves had silenced one of the most important people in the feast. It was hard to believe they'd chosen him just because they were scum or because they didn't like him. The situation was really bad. Another thing to note was that Yoshitsugu Oribi's death was greatly affected Kaori, who was responsible for everyone's meals. That was a major problem. Good work, everyone. Here's some. When she tried to give us the tea once we returned from the search, her face was pale and she was shaking like she was having a seizure. Oh, poor Kaori. Well, we're gonna stop here because I feel like we're gonna have a depressing feast talk, and I'm gonna wait till next time. So, thank you for watching. We found a kids plural. Ooh, didn't want to find kids plural, but we did. So, I will see you next time. Bye!